Good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Emmanuel Odeke and welcome to this episode. And we are here to enrich lives. That's what we do best and that's what we work hard to do. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. We are located at the center of the city. You don't need to look for us beyond Church House, level 13 along Kampala Road. That's where you'll definitely find us, and that is where we are. And what we do here is to enrich lives. So today we are here again to add a small brick, I don't know whether small or big, to whatever other people could be doing out there. But nevertheless, we are still happy that we can do something to better this generation. Today I want to salute those who spent 400 million to transport documents from the Ministry of Trade up to Entebbe. You have showed us that this is truly Uganda, and we appreciate you so much for that. But away from that, with me in the studio are people, friends from the Rotary Club of Kampala, Sunshine, and they are here with me again. Last Tuesday we had them here, and today they are still here with me, and I want to believe they are doing a huge job. They are doing a huge job. And then together with me again is Engineer. That is to my extreme right. Engineer, you're welcome.
Thank you, Emmanuel, and good evening, viewers. We bless the Lord for His goodness, and indeed it has been a wonderful day. God is so gracious.
Please send for me greetings to those who spent that money there.
Well, God is taking care of them and is watching them.
Engineer Kibuuka is a bit careful with the way he's branding his words today. Next to him is Rotarian Wendy Biraaro. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How about you say hello to our people?
Hello, viewers. It's an honor and a privilege to be here, and I hope that I shall contribute greatly to this interesting topic about the boy child.
Wow. You can hear the English. The English is not the other one of Kibuuka. The English is, that should be Nabisunsa, Gayaza, something of that kind.
Makerere College.
Makerere College.
Yes.
Oh, now you can hear. Those who are from Makerere College, today you have an OG in the house, so you're safe. To my immediate neighbor, today she's on yellow. Last Tuesday she was on blue, today she's on yellow. Joan, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me back in the station, and yes, today I'm wearing mustard. And good to be back with this discuss the boy child aspect. Thank you.
Yeah. So unlike engineer who chose to be on blue, Joan is on yellow. So I hoped I would put on red, but it wasn't in my plan. But anyway, that's not what we're here to discuss today. We're here to discuss the boy child. Does the boy child matter? And if he does matter, what is that should be done to make him matter? And if he does not, then why shouldn't he matter anyway? So that's what we're here to do, to discuss basically today. And because that's what we're here to discuss, you will want to add your voice to whatever is going on here today. Engineer,
Yes.
Does the boy child matter to you?
Well, indeed, the boy child matters, and since I'm one, or I was once, and I can see that I mattered, I really believe a boy child matters quite a lot. And when we look at a boy child from quite the earliest time, the earliest age of a boy child, we grew up with clear responsibilities which indicated that we do matter. And the first stage that we were trained or we are guided in was to make sure that we are the caretakers of our sisters. In all our settings and families, it was a charge, and we were always questioned to take care of our sisters. Whatever they could be, maybe going to school, maybe in the community, maybe doing work, maybe what, boys were always charged to take care of their sisters. And the protection of our little sisters was under our care and our hands. And for us, we grew up knowing so. And therefore, we paid much attention to the well-being of our sisters as they grew. And I remember even in some instances, when though somebody was not your sister but a girl, you could not let people torture her or, on the way or anywhere. If you come across, you were supposed to stand in the gap and make sure that that girl is protected, because we are told they're always vulnerable. And maybe another thing I picked.
So in other words, boys were security too.
Definitely. We are supposed to fight to provide security, and we learned it quite from the early age. The other bit we learned was to be very careful with our sisters, and more so the girls. Because I grew up when they were telling us that girls do burn. And we grew up knowing they do burn. And to be precise, for us, we thought that because we saw the girls were like us, we are all children growing. But again, underneath, they told us that girls are burning. Don't be close to them. Don't get close to them. Not their room. Not wherever they are. Please don't. And our association was basically at the common open place, doing work, the compound at home, fetch water, eat together, but don't get close to them in any way. Their bathroom, their what? No, you don't connect. Even out of there, we couldn't. I remember we had a girl in primary 7. This girl was having breasts, and we thought that the burning bit of the girl are breasts.
So do they burn?
They told us they're burning, and then when you look at yourself, you are flat, and then somebody all of a sudden has the breast, then you say, that's fire, I'll be burned.
So do they burn?
So they burn.
No, what I'm trying to say, that was a parable. That was a parable. You needed to...
Which helped us and guided us to grow well, because we never messed up. And you can see the wisdom and the wiseness of our elders, our leaders then. So that's what we learned. And for us, we grew up knowing so, and it protected us, we protected them, but of course, we are living very well, and we didn't mess up in any way. So, boys matter, and they continue to matter if you know how to guide them to be impactful and how to matter in the right guidance.
Well, Rotarian Wendy.
Yes.
Do boys matter? And if they matter, what makes them to matter?
Okay. In my opinion, boys do matter. I'm going to look at as a lecturer of gender and the law, part-time lecturer at Uganda Christian University. We always look at the historical perspective of gender, and you also have to look at the society settings. Uganda is a patriarchal society. It is male-dominated. We have grown up. I personally have grown up believing that a man is to be a vision bearer and is to take charge. He's to lead. Yes, we have female leaders, but a lot of attention was given to the male child. Why? Because even biblically, you can see that the men were created to lead from the beginning, from Adam. So, yes, the boy child matters. The boy child matters because everybody has a role to play. I actually do come from a family of girls. We're all girls. But we are in an African setting, okay, the nuclear setting, we are all girls. However, in the extended family, we have, of course, cousins, boys and girls. But when we look at the setting of the extended family, when it came to decision making, you see that a lot of respect was given to the males. You say, no, we can't do this without hearing from uncle so and so. So if we are to raise men, if we are to raise boys to the position of men, if we are to guide them, then we have to acknowledge the fact that from childhood, the boy child matters. So we have to figure out and find out ways in which we can be able to shape them and mold them. And okay, that is all I had to say for now.
Okay, that is how lecturers talk. They're just straight to the point. They don't beat around the bush. Unlike some of us who have so many words in our lips, sometimes our words bring us problems. Yeah, Rotarian Joan, looking at, picking it up from where Wendy has just put us, and looking at the current society, can we say the boys have been martyred to have the girls elevated? Which puts us at a state that the boy child is at a struggling level now to get back on his feet.
Thank you. I do not know if the word mattered, and I think you're meaning mattered the way the matters were mattered. But I think it just so happened that emphasis was shifted. So you find that when initially, because like engineer said, we have the girl child, and the girl child has always been perceived as vulnerable, the weaker sex, needing to be protected, needing to be, cushioned. So because of that vulnerability, then you find that the boy was not mattered, but society looked at it like, okay, the boy can manage. So let's focus on building and cushioning the girl further. So all these empowerment programs were created, all these initiatives were created to support and boost the girl child. And yes, along the way, the boy child who is supposed to be able to, who society perceived could manage with or without guidance and grow up like a weed, because that's what has ideally happened. Focus was was pushed to the girl, and then the boy has just grown. Biologically, he has grown, but then in terms of emotional and mental capacity, he hasn't grown. So, to an extent, yes, he was martyred, but not through intention. It was intention to build the girl, and along the way, the girl was over-empowered, leaving the boy behind. So yes, now the question is, how do we try and bring forth a balance where the boy, who was not martyred but left behind a bit, is able to be also empowered further to realize his potential, and then eventually also take up his space in society the way he's required to currently.
Engineer.
Yes.
The boy child was, according to Joan, they were not really mattered, but then they were forgotten a little bit. And the empowerment programs were for the ladies. How do we balance the both? To see that the boys and the girls are growing up together, are empowered together, facilitated together for a conducive and holistic growth.
Thank you, Manuel, and viewers. The last time we drilled so much onto the line of culture, and I would like to think that there's a shift in how we copped some of the things, because I always like to give myself as a practical example. I was born with the girls and we grew up together, but we were trained equally. And we used to learn, cook, do everything. And I remember mom saying, to me, you're all children, no boy, no girl. And we were trained in knowing, behaving, the behaviors and how to do things. But mom made it clear that our sisters knew that we are ahead of them. We must be those who provide protection and guidance onto them. Now, the emancipation that came, it was good, but let's ask, did we cope it well? Because in our African culture and society, it wasn't our thing. But when we got enlightened, and some people traveled into other studies, Harvard and what, and they tapped into the Western world, that's where this was picked from. However, underneath, there was a planned sinister motive of kind of tampering with the African family setting. Because generally in our African culture, a man, like the Bible says, was the head, the priest, the overseer, the leader, the king, everything. That was our culture. And the Africans, that's how we're built. And our built up was based onto the Bible, because that's where our roots are. Now, the confused Western world came up with a sugar-coated something. And I want to tell you that our activists, when they gotten to tap into this, most of them, the way they look at projects is basically monetary based. People look at the weight of the dollars or monies which are under that project. And to dig deep to understand the project always comes later when they have already moved into it and have signed it. Now, you would look at the family setting and see, why is there a gap kind of widening between the parents and the children? One, the rights. The rights. Because now, in the West, if a boy wants to go and come back later, do anything, just feels have the right. A boy can stand and slap the dad or the mom. A boy can pick a gun and shoot the dad because he's not happy. In our culture, I grew up knowing you cannot even raise a finger and point at an elder. Just a finger and point at the elder. That was our setting. Now, some of the so-called modernized way of thinking diverted us to think that what we are tapping into is the best, under the pretext of saying the world is a global village. I have a friend of mine in US. He has a family. But you know what he did? The guy comes from the north. He put a Uganda flag into his house. And they put the American flag outside. And he tells his children, if you are out, you are in America. The moment you enter into this house, you are in Uganda. So I manage you the Ugandan way, how I was raised. And that's how he guides and grooms his children. But very difficult to raise a boy, a girl in the West. Why? Because of this emancipation, which was sugar-coated, and we didn't dig deep into it. And then when we opened up into rights, you remember we're dealing with the youngsters who are growing. Instead of guiding them right, we are giving them a free wish and freedom. A child would wish to say, I'm free to do anything. Right here, things are changing and under our watch. I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine, a professor. He had a son. Now this boy did well, and the father promised, if you pass well, I'll give you a gift. What? So when it came, he said, anything you want. The boy asked for a phone worth 3 point something millions. Dad said, no, I cannot provide. The boy said, you say this, what I want. And the mom was, no, give the boy what he wants. No. The boy said, if you don't, I'll commit suicide. And the man was like, my son, what should I do? We sat down, I told him simple. Just take the boy to the graveyard. And said, you know what? This is our place. We bury here. This is your jaja, this is so. Now make your choice. Because by the time you are gone, you will not have the ability to speak, to say here. And the boy, when we reached the person, but also that we leave those things, let's go back home. And that was the end of it. So I'm telling you, things, the right, yes, but we must look at truth and the reality of our society. If we are to change the way things are, we must get back to our roots. Now we've tapped into what the world is all about. And nobody should tell you that the West is so very much happy when the African families are growing and thriving and they are successful and the population is increased, because you see the nonsense that is running around, planning to make sure that the African population is reduced. So these guys have done all that they can do. And when you see there are lots of money that are injected into acts of homosexuality, they are targeting African societies. Why? Because they feel we are poor. No wonder they tell you, people who promote rights, they'll tell you there's a right to health. And therefore, we are putting this much monies into the AIDS campaign. Now, if you say you are not, you have this law passed, then you know we are going to remove the money. But they are talking of the rights to life. Are you getting it? Now, those are the people who are promoting rights. All these are eye-openers that can an African think deeply, open your eyes and look back where you've come from and what you've missed. Because right now, me, Emma, and you and the rest, in our families when we were growing up, we have values under which we were built. Now, if you take the daddies and the moms, 50 law or something like that, we have values that were inculcated into us. But are we passing these values on to our children? That's the biggest question. If we don't do that, we are still struggling. A dad who cannot be a real dad. For us who grew up not knowing that an elder would go behind into those small houses like to ease himself or herself. We never knew it because you could not know it. Somebody will pick a panga and it turns around as if he's going to take care of the coffee stump or something. Or mom gets a knife and you think she's going to the banana plantation. And you'll never meet there that maybe a son and a parent, they're meeting there. No, not possible. Today, a man parks a vehicle, he goes to the roadside, that just near roadside, and he opens his zip and the children are in the car. And it's funny. Our values, we need to build our values. We need to look at where we've come from. Our parents, our elders built us. What came over this so-called modernized generation? And to me, it pains so much that sometimes I say, do people connect Malo and modernization and they end up mixed? Because there are some things which are unthinkable. How can an old man do such a horrible thing? And you come back gently and you walk into the car and you drive. It's very funny.
Engineer.
Our behavior has changed.
That is, sometimes there are things that happen only in Uganda, and you can't find them elsewhere.
Exactly.
Just imagine, engineer is the one who did that.
Oh no.
I'm sure in his heart he's saying, God forbid.
That's very true.
Well, Rotarian Wendy, where have we lost it? Have we left our values as Africans to the Western culture to define them for us? Have we left modernization to show us the way to go? Where have we lost the game as far as raising the boy child is concerned?
I concur with engineer. The influence of the Western world has come due to advancements in technology. Before, long ago, why we were able to keep our cultures and our morals intact is because we thought the world was so big, we wouldn't be able to communicate like from Uganda to China. It had to be done either if you were of a certain status, be able to fly there. But now that the world is smaller because of the changes in technology, you can easily find out what's happening about what's happening to someone in another country. It's easy by a click of a button or a swipe on the smart screen. So, because of that, because of advancement in technology, because of changes, because of admiration, or what I usually call the post-colonial mindset that we have, thinking that people of a certain race are better than us. Because remember, and also because of the influence of the media also plays a very, very big part in this. Why is this? I'm just going to divert a little. Why is it that on the media you always see Africa portrayed as a poor? They never show you the rich areas of Africa. But when it comes to abroad, you're given this whole mindset that Europe and America and all the other countries and the UK, it's the place to be, it's where you must go. Now, because of that influence, our mindsets are changed. You think, okay, it's better. I think I'll be better if I stayed in a place that had a good fast train or bullet train. I think I'll be better off there. And yes, the fact that the currency is stronger than the Ugandan shilling, if you go to the economy side, yes, maybe you're going through hardships. So you also think, if I go there, that's how it's going to be. Life will be better. Life will be better and greener on the other side. That's what we all think. So all these factors have led to change of mindset. People think we can now do whatever we want. We're easily influenced. Somebody's powerful. A country, say if you're saying the war in Russia and Ukraine, power, if you have the power, you're able to control, you're able to rule, you're able to change what happens. So, back to the question. These factors have indeed changed the mindsets that we have. And the morals and cultures, there's a saying that goes, charity begins at home.
Yes.
Charity, and I always tell my students, charity begins at home. No matter what influence you have.
Yes.
The rules and the morals that were put in you, impacted in you by your parents, will determine what you're going to be in future.
Exactly.
If your parents neglected you and let you be raised by the maid, or they didn't give you the right values, they didn't do their part, you shall see it. You reap what you sow. If you are raised with the proper morals and the right structure, the results will be seen. That one is for sure. So, with regards to the boy child, we all have a responsibility. Remember, it says it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
So let's not let's not go into the European or the Muzungu setting of nuclear. We are a village. Rotary International is a village. Family TV is a village. That is why we are endeavoring to come forward and talk about the boy child. So as villagers, if you see a child going wayward, we have that responsibility to arise and guide them back. It's not too late. We just have to stand and believe in the morals and cultures that our fathers before us followed and adhered to.
Okay.
Very interesting facts here. You won't be surprised. Some people who are running to the US and in those other places, they're also broke, like really broke states.
Exactly.
Like very poor guys that there.
There are those on the streets.
Yeah, and you can't imagine. Yes. So I really, I think the media has to change.
You know, this media, when it comes to, in fact, before you go even to a wider media about, just look at the media we have around.
Yes.
Because I give you an example. When you have an event or anything, you'll find a section of those who are not so much bothered by the facts put across or the intentions of what you've organized, but what the remunerations or what they pick from you. Most of our media, that's what it is. And that's what they're looking at. They struggle so much. I don't know whether it's the ethical way of journalism or something. I don't know, because I didn't study that. But that part, and therefore, the one who wants to maneuver and do whatever mess will always look for those very hungry and then use them to the best that he wants. And therefore, when Rotarian Wendy was saying that charity begins at home, we forget that whatever it is, this is our home.
Yes.
This is our home. In fact, even this technology, the way the media plays it with it, even ordinarily, even we in our homes, just look at this small thing in a home. You find a father, or mother for that matter, uses something like 600,000 or 300,000 on this thing per month. But the child is not going to school because the books worth 200,000 are not there.
When we return from the break, we'll be getting more of this, and I can surely let you know that we are not about to leave here until this topic is exhausted to the fullest when we return from the break. Welcome back from that short break. We are still here making sense of does boy child matter. Rotarian Wendy just made a profound statement and said it takes a whole village to raise a child. I don't know if that is true to Joan. So let's hear from Joan if it takes a whole village today in Uganda to raise a child. Rotarian Joan, is that fact truth?
It is absolute truth, but the reality is that's not what is happening. I think you've seen that society now is more nuclear. We have now moved into, we've moved away from the traditional setting of living together. And now everyone lives behind a gated community. People are locked up in their walls, except, of course, when you go into the more, even when you go into the more informal settlements, people are locked up within their doors. But what does that mean? It means that where you could have input or support from your neighbor, now you're saying, don't touch my child, you don't have authority over my child. Again, because of what my neighbors have said here, the Western influence. So it looks like what we've lost out on the importance of having that extra arm, extra eye, unless you purpose to ask for it. I can give you an example that for me where I live, my neighbors support my children. They will be able, if I'm not able to do something, I can reach out to them and they will come in. But you see, we've created boundaries where you have to ask. In the past, you didn't have to ask. It was automatic that when a child is born, everyone is concerned with the well-being of that child. So, and it's important because when you have more than one person looking out for a child, then values are for sure going to be instilled. Because if I fall short on certain values, my neighbor is going to remind me that, is that how they're supposed to greet? Is that how they're supposed to, is that the time they're supposed to come back home at this time? Why have they? And they will keep you in check, and they'll keep the child in check and ensure that this child is raised well. But then, so now again, when you look at society now again, because we have become very nuclear, again, last week we talked about how you find that there are very many single mothers, single fathers raising families. And that means that there is a piece that is missing from this equation. Because then who are the role models that are around these children? If it's a woman raising the children, which men are in the family supporting, or which men are there that are supporting her raise these children? Because if it's a woman raising, still there is a gap. A man needs to be present and intentionally present to raise or support in raising these children, and vice versa for the woman. If it's a man raising, he needs the woman to also be able to teach, to have a woman who can influence and support these boys or girls to learn how to also, maneuver and how to prepare for life as they go ahead. So I think the issue of having more than one person trying to raise a family is very key. We've lost out on it because of how society has shifted, but I think we can still get it back by allowing and conceding that we don't know it all. Even us as parents, we don't know it all. So let's be able to seek advice. Let's be able to have people of influence that can support in raising our children right. Where you've seen that Engineer Kibuuka is what is doing well with his daughter, ask him. That now, engineer, how are you raising your daughter? How were you able to impart? How are you able to get your child to listen to you? Kids these days actually don't listen because of how empowered they are. So we're always trying to read on the internet, but I think if we ask our fellow parents, fellow friends, then you'll get a practical solution. And now that goes back to the boy child. So the boy child, and because of society now and how families are being broken and have been broken, you find that now the boy child who is supposed to lead, lead, protect, provide security, be the provider in all the ways, have a vision, have sense of values that can be passed on. He's lost because who is he listening to? He has nobody. I was talking to my sister today, and I was telling her, we are still discussing this aspect of the boy child. And then she said, but as you're going into this discussion, make sure that you remember that because of the patriarchal aspect, that boys can only be properly influenced by fellow boys or men. Because we've grown up in a society where we know that women are weaker, men are leaders. So and this might be a small percentage, but it is still a percentage. When you have a boy being guided, being given advice by his sister, and a friend comes and gives the same advice, he will pick the advice from the friend and not from the sister. What does that mean? That men look up to fellow men and less to the woman. So even as we go ahead, I think we'll have to have a host of role models that are men
True.
to actually purpose, to mentor, and to support the boy child.
Very interesting things here. In other words, Joan is saying there needs to be role models who are actually men. Engineer, I want to think at some point there are some fathers who have become mothers, and there are some mothers who have become fathers. Mothers are now fathering, and then fathers are now mothering. And you just can't imagine what kind of mess we are in.
Yeah, definitely. This mess up still, as we say it, is that unless when we keep track of the origin of this and then deal with it, because the freedom, the decision making that came started from where the Western world reorganized the family, because the family meant dad and mom. That's the family, that and the children that they wanted to introduce to us. But for us, as John said, we are big, we're a community. And these days, uncles, what other relatives don't matter. We said, no. So we took our children into the comfort zone, and we even drew boundaries of whereby my class of children who stay in Muyenga or Korolo or a certain class, who go to international schools, don't mix up with my young brother or Deke's son who happen to stay in Kasokoso. So we are totally different because of the education, economic status, and we have divided our blood along such lines. It's a very big challenge. However, when we talk of a boy child and mentorship, we have a program, we as Boys to Men Initiative. We call it GIM. This program is guide, inspire, and mentor. In this program, in fact, by the time I made mention of this program to my group and then we adopted it, it came right from my time when I was growing. Because when I was growing, most of the friends I have in life, in fact, even up to now, my friends in life, they are above my age. I have elders who are my friends, closest friends, are far above my age. And the reason is one. My judge told me that when you have those who are above you, they will guide you, they will mentor you, they will give you a direction, and you will be successful in whatever you do. Because you are learning from the best who have seen it, they have known it. Now just imagine the young people, most so the boys, when they are the same age. When one comes up and says, but you guys, why don't we go and play football? Why don't we go and watch the match? Why don't we go for this feeling? What about the disco on the other side? Okay. Eventually they and go. But if there is an elder, somebody above them in the band tells them, but this and this and this doesn't seem to be right. Could you handle it this or the other way? The second thought will come. I'll give you an example. There's a time, I think a year or two back, we lost boys. I think they were around senior 4 boys. They had sat there as far from Ndeje Secondary School. So they passed. They got excited. And one of them picked a car from home and put his friends to go and pick their results. Now, there's one good friend of mine who turned into a sister. His son was also called. But the elder brother said, no, you cannot go like that unless when they allow you. Parents said, no, don't go. So the boy said, okay, let me remain and do work. And they remained working in the family business. While there, the news came. All your friends have perished. And they were going together. This boy was crying, but he said, Uncle, what saved me is that I listened. Now, the other ones, they just picked the vehicle because they were all in agreement. It's we now, and they drove like, with the madness and excitement as young people. None of them survived. This is what's happening to our young people. Yes. Now, somebody in Kololo, he's got everything and he thinks that we're in comfort zone, we have it all. And then they choose those class of those who have it all. And you know what they do? It's about smoking. It's about joining what? And don't say for them they are safe because they have a status in terms of money and where they live. And no, they get wasted. And you know what they do? They find some good girls, Makere, Kumba, or UC, or where, nice looking girls who are doing Chamboga, those who are doing their studies. Yeah. And then these guys who are messed up, they have the money but messed up. They come driving this car or the other. They start enticing these little girls. They mess them up. Tomorrow what happens? You'll find these ladies in apartments as single mothers. These fools, they are not there. They are not groomed. They are not guided. They have no value. They are nothing. All they know, we are from this family, we have the money, but they go on wasting themselves like that. And we have seen enormous examples. There are many. No matter the money. Yeah, there are many of those. And just, actually, there's a time they came to, I think they were arresting those young people who were drinking themselves stupid at a bar near Kavira Country Club called Cayenne. Wow. Nice BMWs, but they were jumping on walls. And they had drunk themselves to nothing. She's a lecturer. They're having issues at university. Some of these, I don't mean UCU, but I mean in universities. You find a lot of these messed up things. I don't know. I think you've seen them.
I like it when the engineer makes a disclaimer before he...
No. It's very true.
It is very true. Now, looking at that, Rotarian Wendy, we are living in a society that seemed to be like the Western culture wants to reorganize the families to what they want. And yet we have values as the African society, and more so the Ugandan society. What do we do? Do we have to reorganize ourselves back to what was there, or we need to think otherwise?
Thank you for that question. You can't undo what has been done, but you can think of ways of merging or bringing them, getting the positive out of one thing, the positives of two cultures, and bringing them together. Now, the empowerment and emancipation of the girl child was not a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing. But like engineer said, we did not look behind the curtain to see what the agenda was. Was it feminism? Was it to destroy the setting of African setting of family? We do not know what the agenda was. But like I said, coming from a family of females, we have been empowered and we have actually gained from this empowerment. So with regards to that question, there are certain positive things. Let's not blacken the Western part or the Western culture or the Western media. There are certain positive things that can be gotten from the Western media. The Western influence, the Western culture. For example, look at the aspect of confidence that those people have. Confidence. They are bold enough and they are confident, which is something that is lacking with our people. And also look at they're bold, adventurous, they're willing to take risks, which for us in African setting, we're sort of a bit, when we're comfortable, you remain in that place. They're willing to take risks and they're adventurous in a certain way. So I'm saying we can't undo, we can't change and say, okay, let us start, let us clear the slate, let us go back, let us now turn the clock, unwind the clock and go back and stick with African traditions. Remember, mindsets have been changed. Culture has already changed itself because you can see people are empowered and enlightened. It may be the wrong information, but that is what they know. I have my right to do this, my right to do that. So what you can do in this situation, you have to gain the positive aspects of what is there in the Western culture, and also the positive, the cultures and the morals that frame the men in the African, boys to men in the African culture, and bring them together. Because we cannot just put one aside and say, this is really bad. Because Western culture brought innovation, brought technology, it brought us closer. So it actually brought awareness of our rights, you know. yes, awareness of the rights, yes, has in a way also broken homes. But the fact that you know you have that right, yes, you can do something to help those who are not aware of it. Right now, when we talk about the setting of the boy culture, we usually talk about the urban setting. But when you look at the informal setting, the rural setting, the boy, to me, the boy culture, the boy child is still respected. It's actually the girl child that is still suffering in the rural setting. If you go deep in the villages, it is the reverse. But in the urban setting, in the towns, you find that indeed it's the boy child that is lacking. So I'm saying we can't unwind the clock. We can't change what has already happened. Look at the positive aspects and merge them together. Let us be bold, let us be honest. Whatever is bad, whatever is not right, we speak about it. Let us be willing to change. That's the only way we can move forward. We speak, let's not be afraid. Right now, like engineer said, because of the agenda, because of the money that is there, because, you know, everybody looks at the value of the dollars, people are afraid to stand up and speak and stand up for what is right. So you'd rather keep quiet and say, somebody else will tell them. The teachers will tell them what to do in class. That's why we pay them millions, you know? Yeah, we have to speak. We have to do the right thing. So the merging of the positive things is also good. And also letting them, sometimes I believe experience is also the best teacher for some. Of course, you're there to see how far they can go, but you're also there to let them learn from their experiences. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rotarian Wendy. Rotarian Joan, you as a club, you guys are doing something about a boy child. Yeah. What is that Uganda should know? That is in the kitchen that is about to explode as far as what you guys are planning to do? Or it is still in the kitchen?
I think it's safe to say that we are now in the new Rotary year. It began on 1st July. And in this year, one of the flagship projects for Rotary International, and actually our district governor, is the Boy Child Initiative. And this was launched last Saturday at Old Kampala SS. And as a club, we've also decided to take it on as a very important service project for this year. And so what you would expect from us as a club is, one, we are partnering with Church of Uganda, which is where we're here with Engineer Kibuuka, because of the involvement and appreciation and already the strides made by Church of Uganda through the Boys to Men initiative. So we are going into a partnership we have gone into a partnership with Church of Uganda, and the aim is to try and build on what Engineer Kibuuka has said, to guide, inspire and mentor the boy child. And this will be done in several ways. We are going to hold several interventions in schools, talks in various schools that will be guided through, of course, selection will be done through a robust selection process. We're going to have community gatherings within the informal settlements of Kampala to bring together, the different boys, all calibers. What we're talking about, how do we ensure that we have representation, so inclusion. So we have the ones who are living within the Mbuyenga, Kololo type area, but we also have the ones who are in Naguru go down. We have the ones in Kamocha. So we bring them together, and we're going to have days where we can have mentorship sessions within these community settings. We can have counseling. Some of these boys have gone through a lot, and they need to be counseled. They need to be told that they can go past their pain, they can go past whatever challenges they've been facing, and then they're able to fulfill their rightful purpose on earth. And we are also why we're here today is to also advocate for the boy child in a way. So Church of Uganda has been kind enough, and Family TV has been kind enough to host us, and we're hoping to have more opportunities to come on air and have more valid and more interesting conversations around the boy child initiatives. We hope to also be able to identify very many mentors. The boy child needs to be mentored. He needs people that he can speak to, he can share his challenges with, he can share his dreams with, he can be inspired by. So we, in this year, will also look to be able to partner with several multitudes of mentors. And at the end of it all, we are hoping to have what we call a boy joy day. And this boy joy day, of course we're talking about boys and children, so boys like to have fun. So at the end of the day, we'll have a fun day where we'll bring the kids together. They're able to share, what maybe they have picked, what they have learned. They can share also their highs and lows. And at the end of the day, we also want to be able to introduce some of the sustainable measures in which the boy child can continue to be supported through our partnership with Church of Uganda. So we are looking forward to a very exciting year of supporting the Boy Child Initiative.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Joan and Rotarian Wendy and Engineer usual suspect in the show. Thank you so much for coming through. It's a pleasure. It's already 10 o'clock and we don't want to go beyond this time, otherwise all these people here need to get home. They need to get home so they can rest for tomorrow. The boy child was once strong and up on his feet, seems to be vulnerable today. What are you doing to help the boy child get up? It might be strong up country in the outcast, but then in the city here, the boy child seems to be getting more and more vulnerable. What are you doing as a person to see that the boy child gets back to his feet? When we return next Tuesday, who knows what God has for us. But for now, it's a good night from I and the team. God bless you. God bless Uganda.